Okay, guys. About my background, first 10 years I spent in academics, moved to industry, worked in multiple companies. In academics, I used to teach in the leading big schools of Delhi NCR, and then moved to industry, worked with multiple companies and countries like SC Nielsen. In US, I worked. Then subsequently, after industry, I opened my own company in the space of analytics and AI. And of course, my clients are in the retail space as well as in the other sectors as well. So just to, let me, without, straight away walking you through the deck or the specific topics, let me start where Professor Dasgupta left you. This entire sector of retail is completely dependent on data analysis. Please remember, we cannot take a single decision. We cannot take a single decision without looking at the data. Now, what kind of decisions do we take? That's kind of, a broad spectrum we will discuss. And then, of course, I shall walk you through each of them specifically. But before I jump to, do you have any background? Just please feel free to speak with me. Do you have any background in analytics? Do you understand the basic objectives or what algorithms are being generally being used? Do you have that idea, or should I start from there? You can give me a kind of where from should we start? Please feel free.
Also, we don't have a background, but we have learned in term 1 and term 2 a little bit about it.
Okay, good. So you must be knowing. Let me give a kind of complete holistic idea about how analytics are being used in this space. You must be knowing that for every marketing and retail activities, there is an analytics tool involved. So I shall give you a kind of, at first, a kind of holistic idea about what are those tools and what are the objectives do they serve, and then I shall move to the specific topics which are dedicated for analytics or retail analytics to be more precise. Say for instance, you must be knowing about customer segmentation. Can you quickly tell me that what particular tools we generally use? Forget about the advanced ones, but the basic ones. All of you, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself unless there is a major background noise, and please speak with me. That's very important. Let's communicate. These 3 hours we will interact, not a kind of one-way communication we'll have. Say for instance, customer segmentation. Do you have that idea? Or what is customer segmentation? You all know, right? Creating the homogeneous groups of customers. Why do we do customer segmentation? Why is it required? Just to clarify the concepts first before jumping to the analytics. Why do we need to segment customers? Let's start with that.
To understand who is our target customer, their characteristics, features, like from which background they are.
You understand that? So
study their buying behavior also.
You understand that as well.
And to determine where is the scope for making sales.
Okay, that's something more important. What is the most important thing? Why should I segment on the very first place?
For efficient use of resources that we have in a company.
To
have an efficient use of resources of a company.
What do you mean by efficient use of resources? What kind of resources?
Like targeting the specific group or which is particular the company product is all about. Not wasting.
Good, not bad. Let me clarify this concept and then I shall come to analytics. So what are you doing by segmentation? You are creating the homogeneous groups. Homogeneous means the similar kind of groups. Now, naturally, one size doesn't fit all, right? So we should try to customize our marketing stimuli. Marketing stimuli means all the piece, product, price, place, promotion. If it is in the service industry, other piece as well, process, physical evidence, people. We should customize the marketing stimuli for each of these groups to make it more effective. Am I clear? That is the efficient. You use the word, I forgot your name. You use the word efficient, the last gentleman who spoke. That is that is the meaning of the word or the clarification of the word efficient. Clear? This part is clear. Why should I segment? So that I can customize. Have you somehow, got a hunch of what kind of technique we generally use for that purpose? So typically we use a technique called cluster analysis. Though I'm not going to teach you these techniques per se, maybe the first half an hour I shall spend or dwell on the gamut of techniques and for the map with a particular purpose. So what you can do is that in the meantime, while I'm speaking, of course, session gets recorded, but you can make a kind of table by yourself, right? What is the name of the marketing technique? What is the specific objective does it serve, the second column? And the third column is the analytics technique. If you can create a table, you can create a table in your Word file or a kind of mental mapping. I think a Word file is better because you cannot remember everything. I can take at least 10, 15 such things. It is better if you can create a kind of Word file and create this kind of table. Am I making sense so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now the question comes, should we do only customer segmentation? What other segmentation can we do? If we just speak about segmentation, what other segmentation can we do? Think about it quickly. Especially in the context of retail. Can't I do store segmentation? Can't I do store segmentation? Yes or no? If yes, then why?
Yes, sir, it can be done to identify which location can be targeted regarding this.
Yeah, location is, but then your obvious counter argument to me would be, then why should I do for a kind of segmentation exercise? I simply do a kind of geographical locational analysis. So if you are in Delhi, all the stores in the Connaught Place, or all the stores in the southern part of GK2, or somewhere in the north or west or east, I shall simply cluster by geography. Then what is the problem if you go by that?
Sir, but the consumer preferences varies from store to store and from
Even within the same location.
and even if they are at the same location.
Yes, sir.
That is the most important thing.
Yes.
Say for
If
instance,
it's a larger territory, then it's vary for different locations as well in the within the same territory.
even forget about larger territory. Let me give a suppose. I'm assuming you are familiar with South Delhi since you are there. Say South Delhi. If I just take South Delhi and if I take a very small part of South Delhi, say the adjoining areas of Nehru Place. Okay. Now you have got GK2. You also have Govindpuri and Okhla, correct? And Siyar Park, and Kalkaji, and Faridabad, and Tughlakabad. Now they are all in the perimeter of how much? A radius of 7 kilometers, 10 kilometers at max. So geographically, they all fall in the same bucket, right? But the customer preferences are very different. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, if you think, if I can take a pocket of an East Delhi, say Lakshmi Nagar, I'm just saying, and don't take me wrong, it can be any XYZ. That can be very similar with Govindpuri, quite possible. Similarly, Mayur Bihar in East Delhi can have a very similar profile of say Kalkaji, possible. So geography, if I say store segmentation, just the locational variable is insufficient. That means my strategy will fail, as simple as that. So that's why there is a necessity of doing the analytics with a large number of variables. Am I clear with my logic?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Let's move to the next one. Say for instance, you want to do in a retail store cross-sell, upsell. Okay, let's take one step. After segmentation, you are done. The next one is purchase likelihood model or the target marketing. Why should you do target marketing after segmentation? You must have learned in your marketing basics, like we call it STP of marketing. That's why I'm taking this route. Have you heard this term STP of marketing? STP.
Yes. Segmentation,
Yes.
targeting, and positioning.
Correct. Why should you do targeting immediately after segmentation? Why is that an order? I shall come to analytics immediately. But why should that be target marketing?
So there comes the optimum use of resources. Targeting. In targeting.
See, that is a very high level
We can
one.
plan according to that.
Very high level one. Make it, more grounded. Make it 5,000 feet. You are still at 20,000 feet. Why? Optimum user resource is segmentation also, Mr. Akshay told. That is true for anything and everything. But make it more specific. Why? Why should I go for target marketing?
So because it is impossible to reach everyone. So
No, don't say that. It is always possible to reach everyone.
So because we can have improved marketing campaigns and we can offer better.
No, target marketing. I don't disagree with you, but still you are at a slightly vague level, high level, I would say. Think it more grounded. You are not wrong, by the way, Vandana. You're not wrong, but bring it down. Why should I do target marketing after segmentation? I found the segments, fair enough. I have found that by my logic, going by my logic, Govind Puri, Lakshmi Nagar, don't take me wrong again. Huh? I'm just taking example. Are kind of having the similar features. But then, fair enough, I am done.
Maybe to create brand awareness or to make people aware.
I shall do a hoarding in the main square of any of this area and I can create brand awareness, or share the leaflet, I can create the brand awareness. That's not the point.
So target marketing is it should be done because our customers are different, right? So not all customers would have the same, would need the same facilities, or probably will not reach out to them in the same manner. Let's say a posh area or
Not bad, Pritam, not bad. Would you mind switching on your video? It would be better if you can have a kind of face-to-face.
Sure, sir. Sure. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll just.
Sure. All of you, please. Huh? It would be kind of better communication, kind of interaction, I would say. But not bad. That's the logic. While Pritam switches on the video, let me give the logic. Logic is that, do you think in the same segment, every individual has got equal probability to purchase? Obviously not, right? I stay in a locality, I'm from CR Park. That doesn't mean that everybody in CR Park has got the same probability of purchase. It can be online also. I'm just giving an offline example. Don't think that it is true for offline only. You can take any online bracket also. Online bracket means I'm talking about the age bracket or whatever, gender bracket, or a combination of multiple variables. You're creating the bracket. That is segment. Bracket means nothing but segment. Am I clear with my logic? Everybody, suppose I'm creating, say there are 1,000 customers in the population. I'm creating 10 clusters with 100 cluster means segments. 10 segments with 100 customers each. I'm just saying it can be 230 also, doesn't matter. But all the 200 customers don't have the same logic, right? Sorry, don't have the same probability to purchase, right? Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Now, if they don't have the same probability, what do I need to do? Very easy question. What do I need to do? Suppose Vandana and Mr. Akshay has got different probability of purchase. Probability of Vandana to purchase a product is 0.9. Probability of Akshay purchasing the same product is 0.7. Should I treat both Vandana and Akshay in the same manner?
No, sir. There will be a preference given to Vandana because of.
I can give us exactly opposite argument. I can give an exactly opposite argument. In any case, Vandana will purchase. I shall rather prefer you to make the purchase, right?
Yes.
I shall give you 20% discount. I did not spend a single discount to Vandana. If I spend any 20% discount to Vandana, then that is a kind of loss for me. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So now that is the kind of, see, one thing is very important in mathematics or analytics is that mathematical logic will not drive your business. It's the other way around. You have to make your business logic very clear. Mathematics will only support to take the business logic forward. Making sense?
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now the simple thing. Now let's come to the mathematical part. Suppose now you know that I can create a kind of within a same segment, I can create kind of brackets like say 0.9 to 1, 0.8 to 0.9, 0.7 to whatever, 0.8, whatever. I'm creating some probability brackets, probability of purchase, which we called in a very nice name, purchase likelihood models, something like that. Now tell me, with your basic understanding, how can you create such a model? How can you create such a model? Just give me a high level idea. You know what needs to be done. So how can you create such a model? And it is very important to think, very important to think. The most important thing is to think and create your own path. Instead of, I give you a solution, you just note it down. If you think in this way, you will remember it forever and you will implement it. Tell me, Anshuja.
Based on the demographic and behavior.
Yeah. You have got all the demographic and all the other variables are there. Demographic, geographic, economic, psychographic even, possible to get that also. Not a kind of question here, but even in the online behavior, I can figure out the risk appetite. So that is possible. I have got all the variables. How shall I develop a model? Just do some random thinking. It's fine. It's fine to make mistakes. That's fine.
Based on age?
No, that is what I said. So you have got all the variables, demographic, psychographic, economic, so on and so forth. How will you create these, purchase likelihood models?
So we can look for trends in the different segments that we have created, like which segment is giving more business or what.
Okay, let me start from your answer. Of course, your answer, there is a lot of deficit. I shall clarify the deficit, but I shall start from your answer. It's very important. What you just mentioned, looking at the trends in the segments, that we typically call descriptive analytics. What was there, right? I found out the segment behaved in a particular way. I have found out the past, histories. That is the kind of trend. But can such kind of thing give me the exact probability of purchase of Akshay? Of course not, right?
Not exactly, yes.
Of course not. So let me give you an answer. I'm sure you know the answer, but then good that you have spent 2-3 minutes time to think. Answer is that you have got all the variables. Think of a kind of table. Mentally think a kind of table. You have got all the variables: demographic, psychographic, economic, geographic, whatever. All the there are hundreds of variables like that. You have also have one dependent variable column, one column. Even if you don't know the word dependent variable, that is fine. One column. Then heading of that column is the gentleman or the person. Forget about what gentleman. Person has purchased, not purchased. I've got only two things, two labels, two values in that column. Purchased, say person with age, say 24, whatever. All those sex, geography, academic, whatever. Hundreds of variables. Whether the person has purchased, not purchased. Purchased, not purchased. So a column goes like that on the left hand side. I'm just saying. And then you have got all the hundreds of variables which are aligning with that column. Now, with that kind of data set, by use any simple tools, even as simple as logistic regression, I can figure out the probability between 1 and 0. Possible?
Yes, sir.
1 and 0, I shall get some probability. I have got all the variables. I shall use a model, I shall come out with one probability. So by that way, I can come out with a precise purchase likelihood model. So far, absolutely clear. You have done segmentation, you have done target marketing. Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. So you can, if you are creating a kind of table there, you can write. Typically, we use. You can say the kind of propensity model. That's another name of purchase likelihood model. But that's how things go. That's how things typically move. Okay. A very important thing. Now the third important thing, especially in the context of retail, is demand forecasting. Why is it important? Let's look at the business side. Why demand forecasting is so important? From a retail context, let's answer this question.
To meet the customer demand in a less lead time.
Okay, not bad. Absolutely. To meet the customer demand, of course, time is a very important part, as you mentioned. The other important thing is the merchandising part. What does that mean? In a retail shop, if I take the pain to drive to that store to purchase something, if I don't find that product, that's a sheer loss, not only for that sales. If you are acquainted with the concept of customer lifetime value, CLV, if I switch to another store, if I find that product and I'm very satisfied with the behavior in the store also, and if I tend to find other products as well, then what will happen? I shall switch to that store. It's not a kind of loss of that particular profit margin. It can be $10 also or 100 rupees also, doesn't matter. It will be a kind of entire loss of CLV. So that's why, now that is the problem of understocking. That's the problem of understocking. What's the problem of overstocking? What is the most precious or most valuable thing in a retail context?
Maintaining inventory.
Most valuable store part is the real estate. Real estate. You have got, in any case, it can be a departmental store or a small kirana store. The space is always limited. So you cannot pile up your product and then the products are not getting sold at the cost of some other products, where the probability of the selling is higher, but which we call technically the velocity of sales, which I shall come to you when I shall walk you through the slides. But that's why this concept of, it should neither be understocked nor be overstocked. It should be exactly the right amount of stock. And when I'm saying right amount of stock, it is not just one product. Within a particular product, there are multiple SKUs. You know the concept of SKU, stock keeping units?
Yes.
What is that thing? Any of you tell me? What is SKU? What is an SKU?
Stock keeping unit is the is a one stock in which like suppose you have 100 number of units, so it is used to track the SKUs also.
You haven't clarified the concept. You are not wrong again. Of course, it has been used to track, no doubt. But what is that thing? Why SKU is required?
So it's actually maintaining a distinct type or segregate the stocks for certain items for sale.
Very good, very good. Session, mind switching on the video? I would love to.
I'm connecting from the mobile hotspot. That's why.
I see. No worries. So that's a very good answer. So you can think of any product. It can be an iPhone also. It can be a kind of hair oil also. Doesn't matter. In any product, you will find that there's a huge depth of the product. Say if you take about iPhone. So what are the high level varieties you are having? iPhone mini, iPhone Pro. If I say iPhone 13 range, mini, it can stood for 12, 11 also, not at 5 or 6. So mini, iPhone 13, iPhone Pro Max, correct? 4 high levels. Each of them has got different levels of RAM, starting from, I guess, starts from 128 to 56, 512 up to 1 TB. iPhone 14 will have 2 TB also. Now each of them comes in how many colors? At least, sky blue has been introduced, and so it will come around 6 colors. So look at the entire depth. Now, if I have a customer, I have a very specific need. Hey man, I go to a store. Do you have iPhone 13 Pro Max 256 GB at gold color? Then they say, no, sorry, sir. We have this thing. So you may have that thing. Very nice. I appreciate. But I require that thing. That's the kind of, if we are nowadays, buyers are very informed buyers. They don't just, come like, 20 years back and pick up whatever is available. They have got plenty of choices. If you don't have, somebody has that thing. They've got very specific choice. So that's why this, the demand has to be forecasted precisely. And it should be such that it will neither be understocked nor be overstocked. Now, demand forecasting is not something new, right? Those who have got some background in finance or wherever, marketing also, you will find that was there for 100 years back also. So we used to do traditionally time series analysis. You must have done that thing in your +2 or somewhere. Time series analysis, which used to do lot of forecasting. But then with time, I just don't want to throw the names, but with time, time series analysis take a back seat. We have got the more sophisticated machine learning techniques, nowadays deep learning techniques, to make the precision of forecasting much more accurate, much more finite. Okay, so demand forecasting part is clear to you. Do you know about something called Rfm analysis? Have you heard this word, Rfm analysis?
No, sir.
No worries. So I'm giving you the concept, but I shall ask you a question after giving you the concept. No need to Google, just listen to me. Rfm analysis is nothing but the recency. R stands for recency, F stands for frequency, M stands for monetary. I repeat, R stands for recency, F stands for frequency, M stands for monetary. RFM analysis, right? So from the different purchase the customers are doing, I can pretty well create multiple brackets by doing a kind of recency, frequency, monetary, right? RFM. Whether this person is a frequent purchasers, or his monetary level may be high or low, or this person has how many times he has purchased or when has he purchased last time, 2 weeks back or 2 months back. I can have a very clear idea about this RFM, correct? Why should I do it? So the mathematics part is clear. I have just reversed the order now intentionally. Till now, I was giving you the objective and coming to the mathematics. I have given you the mathematics. What purpose would it serve from mathematics go to business? What purpose would it serve? Why should I do an RFM analysis? So you understood, you can create the brackets of customers by RFM. What purpose would it serve?
To understand the buying behavior of a customer.
That is, we have, true, you are not wrong, but let's keep the segmentation part. Obviously, it helps in segmentation.
Yes,
so let's keep that aside. What else? What else do you think it can help?
Understand the customer lifetime value.
Agreed. Good point. Good point. Besides segmentation, it's a good point. CLV, it helps. What else? What else? Think from a business side. What else? Think from your marketing knowledge. Business means your marketing knowledge. What else? Let me question you back and you answer me.
Sir, previously you have given and taken an example of probability of buying for Akshay and Vandana. So 0.9, 0.7. So a company can target which customer to. A company can target actually where I would have more sales, where I could advertise more and generate sales. So if a person is having a higher probability for purchasing, then a company may lose its resources or money in
That's not bad.
advertising to them.
It's not incorrect. But then Sasan, understand one thing. You are not wrong. Of course, I can figure out the groups who have got a very high RFM or high R, low F. I can increase the F. Those things are there. So that's a very important part. Sasan, you are not wrong. But then exactly the point that you raised, I can better address that point through purchase likelihood. Right, Sashank? I can better address that point.
Yes.
That objective through purchase likelihood model. So here you are having a very clear idea about whether the person is having a high R, high F. M is not that great. Can I increase the M? Having high R, high M. F is not that great. Can I increase the F? Having high F, M. R is not that great. Can I increase the R? This is, I think, this one is a kind of obvious answer. This is no-brainer. This answer is no-brainer. Now, the more important thing is that, do you think RFM gives you an opportunity for cross-selling, upselling?
Yes.
If yes, then how? If yes, then how?
So by understanding how frequent a buyer is, how much he spends in terms of monetary, we can cross-sell what kind of products we can add on. Relevant.
You all know what is cross-selling, upselling, right? That is known to everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Think a bit more in depth. And let me ask the question simultaneously. What else you can do for cross-selling, upselling? A very important part in retail, right? The customer comes and you are selling that product. You have come for, say, again, if I give the iPhone example, since most of you are having that. If I come to the store, if I just purchase the iPhone without purchasing the insurance, the Apple Care Plus, that's the kind of, you're not a very good salesman. Or if you have gone to purchase a Maruti car, I'm just saying, it can be any car. You have opted for the LXI variant. If I cannot sell it to a VXI, I'm not a very good salesman. Or other way around, if I have come for, suppose you are a kind of good biker, you are a fan of Harley Davidson, and you have gone there to purchase the, of course, upselling is a higher variant. If I have gone for the good helmet of Harley Davidson, how can I make you sell the Harley Davidson jackets and gloves, for example? That is cross-selling. How can you make it? Through RFM, possible? Or not? And if not, then what else can be done for cross-selling, upselling? First of all, let's look at the first question. Yes, it is possible to some extent. What extent?
So by offering discounts, we can sell.
Don't jump to that part straight away. Why I'm saying so? Because discount is essentially a loss. Say, for example, I'm telling you why. Say I am a person who is having a reasonably high RFM. Or my R is low, my frequency is high, monetary is also high. That means I maintain a decent profile. So I need not be given discount on the very first place to purchase something. So how it helps? Yes, it helps to create the profiles that yes, these persons are the kind of, or these students are a good candidate, are good candidates for my cross-selling, upselling. That much can be done by RFM. So that gives you a good groundwork. Okay, so that part has been answered. Now coming back to the point that how will you do cross-selling, upselling? Forget about any sophisticated name of the algorithms. Suppose you are starting from a blank slate. You have to think and create the routes. What can you do to make the cross-sell, upsell happen? Just think in a very non-analytical way also, it's fine. Non-mathematical way also, it's fine. Think from a business guy. How can you understand? A man with strong common sense without any knowledge of mathematics.
Sir, we can track the data, track the pattern of the spending behavior of the customer, and if the customer is paying high money or high things to buy any accessories, so we can upsell the products to the higher level product also to him. And also this is implies to cross selling also. We can suggest to buy more products based on the buying behavior, buying pattern of that customer. If he is in past, if he is bad, like suppose some helmets and some extra accessories like gloves and other things, so we can check this data and we can utilize this.
Okay, okay, not bad. But let's look at this logic in a more concrete way. Say, for instance, you are fond of having lager beer. I'm just saying, it can be strong beer also, doesn't matter. So you are fond of Budweiser. It has been found from your data that, yeah, you generally purchase that thing. Now a new lager beer has been introduced in the market. I shall always come to you because I know you are fond of lager beer and I shall sell it to you. So what I am doing essentially, what is the underlying logic? What is the underlying logic? I am doing a kind of product mapping. Product A is very similar to product B. You have purchased or generally purchased product A, so I can also market product B to you. And product B is slightly
different.
Yeah, slightly more pricey, slightly more sophisticated. Clear?
Yes.
Second logic. Okay, me and Vishwa are in the same. There is a name to this algorithm, but I'm not giving you the names because that might confuse you at the moment. I'm just giving you a kind of vanilla logic. Logical understanding should be clear at the moment. So me and Vishwa are kind of close buddies. We go to the same club, go to the same pub, go to the same golf course. Now, Vishwa has taken a gym membership in a premium club. Vishwa and I are close in the sense that our profiles match. Can't the same gym membership be offered to me? Me purchasing that gym membership is far higher than anybody else, right? Am I making sense with this logic? So instead of a kind of product mapping, what I'm doing right now is a kind of person mapping. It's a kind of segmentation essentially. Person mapping is nothing but a kind of essentially a segmentation. I'm doing a segmentation first, looking at your choices, looking at my choices, which one you are having, I have missed, and I can always promote that product to me. Helps in cross-selling. I might not have an appetite initially. It is not upselling, selling that particular thing up. I might not even thought of a gym membership or something like that, but can be always be offered by a kind of lifestyle company. Making sense? If you want to know the name, this name is technically called collaborative filtering, but that's fine. People generally know the name and forget the logic. Knowing the logic is more important than throwing the name. So far, everything is clear. Any doubt?
Sir, is it similar to personalization?
It is similar to
personalization. When we have segmented the customers and we can create the relevant personalized offers.
Personalization is slightly different. Personalization is a kind of customization. There was a time when customization used to happen segment specific. Nowadays, it is an era of mass customization. Nowadays, it is an era of mass customization. What does mass customization means? Suppose you want to purchase a laptop. Now, there was a time, for every segment, laptops have to be created. Someone wants to play games with laptop. Someone is an office executive. Some are students. Some wants to consume entertainment like that, right? That was an era. Segmentation, specific customization. Now, what is mass customization? What is mass customization? The same example. I want to purchase a Dell laptop. I shall go to Dell store.
It's more assembled to order.
Absolutely. I shall go to Dell website.
There is some inventory lying, and we just assemble as we receive the order.
Absolutely. It's an era of mass customization. I shall exactly figure out, I want this RAM, I want this hard disk, I want this screen size, I want whatever, I want a charger, I don't want a charger, whatever. I have got 50 things in my mind. I shall exactly pick up the things as per my requirement, and I shall, create my product. So it's an era of mass customization. So no, that is different. That is different from what I was saying. I was talking about cross-selling. Cross-selling and customization are very different. Rather, you could say, and which I could have bought, is that, and they used for recommendation engine. Yes, typically cross-selling, upselling go hand in hand with recommendation engine. They are used for recommendation in the retail space. Making sense so far?
Yes, sir.
Everything is clear so far? No doubt, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now let's start with or come with a very interesting thing. Churn analytics. Have you heard the name churn analytics? CHURN, churn. No need to Google at the moment.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. See, or have you heard the word called attrition in a different context? Though attrition has been used in a different context. Have you heard the word called attrition? ATTRITION, attrition.
Yes, attrition rate.
Yes, sir.
What is
Attrition for that
Yes, when employees leave a
employees
company.
resigning from the firms.
Correct. That is the employee attrition. It's in different context. Correct. Now, when that thing has been, considered for a kind of company in the context of customers, we call it churn. How many customers have churned, left you, right? Now, it's like a kind of, you can think of a kind of bucket, a bucket with a hole, and there is a tap on the top of the bucket. Now, your entire tap is the water is flowing, is all your marketing stimuli, every analytics is heavily to give the right products to the right customer, the right point of time. But if there is a hole in the bucket, customers will keep leaving you. So very important concept in this marketing and retail space is the churn analytics. Concept is clear. I have not talked about how to approach, but what is churn analytics clear? To ensure that customers are not leaving you. Churn analytics are done to ensure that the customers are, your existing customers are not. It is not about customer acquisition. It is about customer retention, just the opposite. It is about customer retention. It is not about acquisition. Acquisition you are doing with that, tap. You are bringing the customers. But if there is a kind of bucket, if there's a kind of hole in the bucket, then all your newly acquired customers will go away. Then obviously you will be at a loss, because having new customers are much more expensive than retaining the customers. You must be knowing this. Far more expensive.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so your entire money will be lost. Whatever the money you are getting, that money will be lost. Now, the concept is clear to you. Churn analytics, what is that thing is known to you, understood to you. Tell me in very simple, a kind of a blank slate. How can we approach the problem? How can you approach the problem of churn analytics?
By identifying the reasons why they are leaving.
Okay, fair enough. You identified the reasons. Typically you must be knowing, typically in the language of research, we call it exploratory research. I'm exploring the reasons of why a customer leaves. Fair enough. But then what? What next? You understood. That is correct. What next? What next? What else can you do? You understood the reasons. You found out the reason. What next you can do?
So we can cater their needs as per their requirement. Like if price is a reason for their churn, so we can work on that.
Not wrong, but I want a more sophisticated thinking. How can you? It's a very important part, you know. You have to bring a lot of layers to your thinking.
Firstly, we have to analyze that the customer is basically unsatisfied with the product or service, right? And then after we can take accordingly action pertaining to the particular product or service. If the customer is unsatisfied with the services, so we can strengthen the customer support system for that. Or either there's a problem with the product, so we can improve the quality of that product and also give incentive or some discount on particular product for retaining that customers.
Also, do you mind switching on your video? I would have been you better. Yeah. Okay. A very important part, you know, is especially when you are approaching analytics, or rather I would say it in this way, when you are approaching a business problem through an analytical way. That's a better way to put it. Again, I'm repeating myself. Every word is very important. When you are approaching a business problem in an analytical way, you should have a kind of, you should think through the whole thing along with the consequences. You have taken a step. What are the consequences? What should be your next step? What will be your consequences? What is the next step of that? In that way, that should be a complete layer. So let me help you in streamlining your thought. Then I shall not utter a single word on analytics at the moment. For the next 5 minutes, I shall not utter a single word, but I'm just streamlining your thought process, how to think in a business case. So the first thing is that you have to find out reasons. Of course, you found out that it's a part of the problem, but the most important thing is that which customers are going to churn. That is the most important thing, right? You understood the reasons, but not all reasons are equally effective for all customers, correct? That is the next layer, by the way. Somebody said about the reasons. Anshuja, I guess, told the reasons.
Yes.
So, not all reasons are equally important and are strong for all customers. So, first thing is that you need to know or need to predict which customers have a risk of churn. That is the first layer. So, whatever is analytics, I shall come to analytics at a later stage. Business-wise thinking first. So, you first found out 100 customers. I'm just saying it can be any number. Excuse me. $100 customers are at the risk of churn. Now, tell me logically, should you try to stop all these 100 customers? Why not? Of course, answer is no. Why not?
Firstly, we have to analyze that the customer is basically profiting the company or not.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, Sumit. Absolutely correct. So that's why the integrated approach. First, you have to predict which customers are going to leave. Second layer, as Sumit rightly mentioned, the customer is profitable or not. What is the CLV for the customers? Are the customers having a high CLV or not? That's what you have to find out. So you have found out, you have narrowed it down. So you have found out that out of 100 who are about to leave, 20 customers are not that profitable or not that having a low CLV. So 80 customers come to my interest. Do you think you will focus all that 80 customers?
No, who is giving more profit?
That already you have done in the second step.
Yes.
Sumit mentioned that.
For how long the customers are associated with the.
You have done in CLV.
Okay.
Frequency.
CLV considers frequency.
I think, sir, we can go ahead with yes, because as per now, if they take the present situation, we can go ahead with these 80 customers, and then
Why not? You should be knowing which customer decisions out of this 80 can be prevented. No point in banging your head on a closed door, right? That's a waste of your energy. Simple, basic common sense. No point in banging your head on a closed door. You know the customer will never open the door. Why to waste your time and energy and money on that customer? So you may find that out of these 80 customers, 10 customers though will never come back. I'm sure about that. 70 customers are there, I should target. So now see, in the last 5 minutes, the 3 steps that I have mentioned, I have not uttered a single word on mathematics. Sheer business logic. Mathematics will come at a later stage. At every step, how I can employ mathematics or analytical models or analytics models to arrive to a decision. Making sense to everyone? Any questions so far on this chart analytics piece? Any question? Okay. Now let's look at the first step. So let's look at the first step. Always remember, don't ever apply one modeling philosophy. Forget about, I'm not using the word modeling technique that everybody says. I'm saying something else. Don't apply one research philosophy to one problem. What does that mean? Since I want to use the word philosophy, that means don't look a problem from one perspective. Try to look a problem from multiple perspectives. What does that mean? Now that's a kind of very high level word, 30,000 feet or 60,000 feet philosophy, everybody knows. But how to do it? Say for example, you have got the question that which customers are going to leave me, right? That was the kind of your first step, correct? Predict the first step. Now, one way is that I know what are the kind of the symptoms. Symptoms meaning, suppose if I'm going to have a fever, I'm having a kind of headache, I shall feel very tired. These are the symptoms. I shall not have the energy. These are the symptoms of a fever. So folks who are going to leave, customers who are going to leave, show some symptoms, some signals, they emit some signals. Can I figure out such symptoms into the existing customer database? That's one way of looking at the problem. Agreeing, I'm not talking about the model. I'm just sharing a kind of sheer logic, nothing else, logical way of approaching. Model will come at a much later stage. This is clear? Everyone, first logic is clear?
Yes, sir.
Fair enough. Second logic. Can't I come out with precise probability of churn scoring? Probability of Akshay is 0.8 leaving the company, whereas probability of Tuhin is 0.2, 0.5, 0.6, 0.798, whatever. I can come out with the churn score of everyone. Second way of looking at the thing. Agreed, everyone? We'll come to the model later on. But that is one way, second way. So we are talking about the second way of looking about the first step of the churn problem. That's how if you do a kind of mental mapping. Third way, churn time can't I predict precisely at what time the probability of Akshay leaving the company or leaving the store or leaving a brand would be 0.9. Another way of looking at the thing, right? Predicting the churn time. So there can be 50 other things also. I'm just saying, I'm just creating it. So don't get married. That's a very important thing. Don't get married to one philosophy, one model, one way of looking at the things. Try to look things from multiple perspectives. Modeling come on later stage, much later stage. At first you frame the business problem right. Then for every step at every layer, you create the multiple ways of looking at the things. Then modeling will come. Say how the modeling will come. Say for example, what was the first problem first philosophy of looking at the churn problem, or first way of looking at the thing. First perspective is a better word. First perspective I mentioned, the probability of customers, probability or not probability, whether some customers in an existing customer database are emitting similar symptoms or signals, right? Now for that purpose, we typically do a kind of look-alike modeling. From the name only you can understand. Look-alike means Akshay is emitting some symptoms, some signals. Vandana is also emitting some similar kind of signals, similar kind of symptoms. Then perhaps Vandana is also going to follow the steps of Akshay. That's what is about the look-alike modeling. Look-alike, they look close. We do it by kind of K nearest neighbor, KNN. KNN is the modeling technique, K nearest neighbor. Very easy technique. If they try to figure out whether these two things are very close to, and you can use as simple as Euclidean distance, what you have done in your class 2. As simple as those things are there. But that's the concept. That's one way of looking at that modeling. Now, not necessarily one philosophy or one perspective has to be married with one modeling technique only. Rather, it should not be. Forget about the word not necessarily. Forget about the word not necessarily. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't approach one philosophy or one perspective with only one modeling technique. Always remember that. What does that mean? Say, for example, your problem is churn scoring. The second one, predict the exact probability. That is nothing but a scoring. You are scoring every customer. What is the probability? Now, what are the different modeling techniques you can use? Say, if I have to do a kind of vanilla statistics, which was that age old, I can do a simple logistic regression. You have got the churn, not churn, churn, not churn, binary dependent variable, 0, 1, 0, 1. You've got several variables. You can also approach the same problem through a machine learning techniques. If you know about a decision tree, random forest, support vector machine. Agreed. You can also approach the same thing through more sophisticated deep learning techniques. You should apply all of them. Then do a kind of model comparison. That means which particular model fits the best given the scenario without overfitting or underfitting. Then only that model has to be applied. Or anybody can tell me what particular technique, model technique can I apply for this predicting the time, predicting churn time. Tell me, how can I tell you, how can I predict when Akshay is going to leave? What is the probability of Akshay leaving the store or leaving the company in the first month, in the second month, in the third month, in the fourth month?
Sales data.
Like that. Sorry?
Through sales data, sir.
Of course, through sales. That is the data. That is the data. My question was different. My question was through which modeling technique. So Have you heard about something called survival analysis? Okay.
No, sir.
Typically these are being used in the healthcare industry. Suppose I'm undergoing through a critical disease, cancer or any of the critical diseases. How long I'm going to survive? So they do a lot of survival analysis. They've got a lot of data. What kind of data? Typically, you can always ask me that thing. It is not just sales data. It is something more than that. How long did I survive? I had cancer. I have got all the demographic variables, all variables possible, hundreds of variables. I survived for 9 months. Somebody survived for 12 months with all the variables. Somebody survived for whatever, 6 months, 36 months, 24 months. Survived, right? I have got all the demographic variables. So I can pretty well develop a model to predict exactly how many months and with what probability. Am I clear? Forget about the name, survival analysis, but the logic clear. What makes you arrive to that kind of answer?
Yes, sir.
Good. So a very important part, this. Now, of course, you learned one thing. You learned one thing, that how to make your business thinking layered, how to think from a multiple perspective, and how to marry multiple models with every perspective. These things you have learned. Now, the last example that I have given to you is survival analysis. I told you that this has come from healthcare industry, which is absolutely correct. A very important way to think is lateral thinking as well. What is lateral thinking? Taking a concept from one sector and using it into another sector. Taking a concept from one, using it to another. What does that mean? So you have just learned about this survival analysis. Understood. It has come from healthcare. You can use it in retail. Can you use the same concept in digital marketing or digital retail? Think and answer. Can you use? Tell me. How is it possible? You are just borrowing the concept from one sector, using it for another, again moving to another. That is very important thing. That's lateral thinking. So how can you use it in digital marketing? Forget about churn part. Don't think in that same line. Then it is not lateral. Don't plant the same concept into digital context. Of course, it is useful there. No doubt about that. Whether the customer will be in my OTT platform, in my Netflix, or the customer is going to leave. When customer is going to leave. What makes customers subscribe to Hotstar? Those things are already there. What else can you do for digital marketing? By the way, whatever I'm discussing is till now, everything is applicable for both online and offline retail. When I'm talking about cross-sell, upsell for Harley Davidson, it is true for Amazon also, both ways. What else can you do with that concept? It's like you have a weapon. How else can you do? You have done some brainstorming in your childhood, like you have a chair. What are the kind of 10 things you can do with your chair? Or you have a stapler. What are 10 things you can do with a stapler? That's the reason these questions were asked in some of the interviews in the school or college level. Say I'm giving you a kind of scenario. You have to predict when a customer is going to click. You know something called path to conversion, a very technical term called path to conversion, PTC, or path to conversion, or digital journey is another name, another decent name. Non-technical name is digital journey. technical name is path to conversion. It means what? See, at the end of the day, everybody wants customers to be converted, right? Conversion or not conversion is the whole thing. Everything boils down to conversion. The question is that customers don't just, don't turn up on one fine morning and become your customer. It doesn't happen like that. Customers takes a long route before they end up in conversion. That's a kind of reality. It can be insurance purchase also. It can be whatever purchase. It can be whatever. They take a long route. Now, it's very important. It's very important. A lot of things are there. Our time is very limited. I'm just looking at the computer watch every time. 2-3 things are important. One is that consumer journey mapping. You have to actually map the consumer's journey with the customer. The consumer journey, don't think it's a kind of linear path. Huh? Maybe not now. After my class, you can Google and you can find 50, images of consumer journey mapping. There can be A at this layer A, then there is ABC here, DEF here, GHI here, JKL there, like that. At A to D, D to H, H to J. This can be one journey. Then B to D, D to Y. It's a kind of long journey. There are unique journeys. There can be as many journeys as a number of customers possible. So, but it's very important for you to know the journeys also. The second part is that consumer journey orchestration. What is orchestration? A very important concept. Consumer too will take a journey as per their wish and at their own sweet time. Will you let them, walk at their own pace and at their own, trajectory? Of course not, right? You have to orchestrate how the consumer will move, when the consumers will move, what the consumers will do. If they stop, what should I do to make them move? All these things you have to minutely orchestrate as a digital marketer. By the way, digital marketing is not just, posting on Facebook. That's a very stupid way of, interpreting Facebook ad, Twitter ad as just digital marketing. That is the digital marketing analytics. A lot of analytics and automation comes. Where does automation comes here? Just, moving to automation. Automation is a very important part, by the way. Nowadays, analytics and automation goes hand in hand. They are not kind of two separate brackets. It was two different journeys at 10 years back, but nowadays analytics automation goes hand in hand. That is why we call it a robotic process automation, or a more higher level is the cognitive automation. I shall come to you if time permits. Coming back to the point, where is automation coming in this customer orchestration? And I have started this discussion from I'm not digressing, by the way, started it from that same question, lateral thinking, about survival analysis or about the time prediction. Say for instance, why are you all switching off the videos? Are you not there or what happens? Not interested? Let's have a kind of conversation, man. I'm not making it boring like slides after slides. All of you,
actually there is low bandwidth in hostel. That's the main reason.
But you are keeping yourself mute, man. So that shouldn't be a problem. It is not consuming your voice bandwidth, voice data.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, keep it on. Let's have a kind of conversation with tea, coffee, whatever, cigarette, that's fine. Okay, coming back to the point, orchestration. Now say for instance, you found that the customer gets stuck at one point of time. You find that means that not that you will, go with a microscope and look at each of the 1 million customers or each of the 10 million customers. It doesn't happen like that, by the way. Your automation, techniques, infrastructure, dashboarding, everything will tell you what, when, why the customer gets stuck at one point of time. So then the automation tool will trigger. We use the word technically called the trigger, a kind of promotion, whatever. It can be discount also, as somebody mentioned, or anything else that is subject to business rules. Again, business rule engine is there at the back end. These are the business rules. If these things happen at that point of time with this particular force, then what promotion will go? There are business rules, very precise business rule engine should be there at the back end. That would help to trigger. Automation will help to trigger. Automation will not decide. Business rule engine will decide what particular thing will happen at what point of time. Automation will help to trigger, send that either the email or the SMS, whatever it is, to help you take the next step. Now coming back to the point from where I asked the question, I asked that, can't I extend this thought or this concept of survival analysis or the time prediction to this particular scenario, to this digital marketing scenario? Of course. Time to click. So Sumit is browsing through Amazon. He has browsed through a number of mobiles for last 3 weeks, but he is not purchasing. I can predict precisely that when Sumit is going to purchase, not only purchase, forget about the word purchase, it's a very strong thing. Even making the next click in the path of purchase, in the consumer path to conversion. Not only in the same website, it can be in the previous websites also possible. Am I clear, guys, what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Any questions so far? Please feel free to ask me. Everything is clear to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, great. So a very important concept on this, what I was discussing last digital part, is this path to conversion or this consumer journey mapping, consumer journey orchestration. A very important concept is the attribution modeling. Have you heard this word? Attribution modeling. ATTRIBUTI, attribution. From the name, it is understood. In the consumer path, in the entire consumer path means consumer path to conversion, nowhere else, not a path to pilgrimage. In the entire consumer path to conversion, there are multiple touch points, right? Multiple touch points are there. Multiple touch points means what? What does multiple touch point means? Say the ad of your website pops up into Google, or prior to that it was in YouTube, or prior to that it was in Facebook, or in some other website possible. These are all the, you may follow any of this path to arrive to finally to your website. You means the consumer will traverse through that path to arrive to the website for conversion. The question is that there are multiple schools of thoughts, multiple schools of thoughts here. Somebody says that first touch model, last touch model, that means I shall give maximum importance to where the consumer has touched the last. Somebody says no, I shall give maximum weightage to the touch point where consumer started his journey. Somebody said no, out of the 10 touch points I shall make it all average. None of them are correct actually. The devil always lies in the detail. Always remember that. It is nothing is whatever that simple, there is something, there is a bug there. So there we use sophisticated technique, which we call, if you know about, have you heard about something called Markov chain? Bayesian network, Markov chain, have you heard these words?
No, sir.
Okay. Markov, sorry?
Decision tree हम लोगों ने पढ़ा सर.
Decision tree नहीं है ये. Again, I'm slightly going to a different scenario. I shall come back here, but follow the main chain of thought that is there in my mind. So I'm not digressing. I'm just elaborating here and there to clarify my concept. Say for example, you are doing a kind of prediction of machine failure. You have to do it, right? If you're in a manufacturing industry, manufacturing analytics, probability of failure of a machine. Now in a machine, one part is of course dependent on the other. Second part A is dependent on part B is dependent on another gear. That gear is dependent on some other lever. That lever is dependent on some other machine, right? So it's a kind of chain, and the probability of that failure of the final machine depending on all the things. So in such kind of scenarios, we do a kind of Bayesian network when one is dependent on the other. Decision tree is Sumit is different. It means that suppose same thing, purchased, not purchased is the kind of dependent variable. Then the most important variable can be age. I'm just saying it can be anything. Then I can bracket as a second most, I'm bracketing say 18 to 25. That's second layer, 26 to 30, 30 to 35. Next variable can be the income. Within that, the first age bracket, I am finding it 30,000 and less. Say 30 to 60,000 is the next one. In the second branch I am doing. That's a kind of decision tree. This is different, entirely different. This is a Bayesian network. So Bayesian network is equally applicable here as well. Don't think it is for the manufacturing industry only. In the entire path to conversion, you can use Bayesian network, right? Because it's a kind of network. The steps, one is dependent on the other. My moving from YouTube ad to Facebook ad is dependent on, maybe dependent, I'm not saying is dependent, maybe dependent on the last paths also, my experience there also. Or you can counter with me, you can argue with me, no. So this is not dependent on the what I have done in the first place. That doesn't matter. It is dependent only on my say I have to move from YouTube to Facebook. Then and before that there was Google. So from moving from YouTube to Facebook is not dependent on Google. It is dependent on YouTube and only. There could be another logic. This is a more acceptable logic, the digital marketing scenario. So in such scenario, when my next decision is dependent only on the previous decision, only on the previous path, not the more previous ones, we use the Markov chain. So what is that thing? If you know about very simple thing, don't get bogged down by these names. Nothing but a simple conditional probability. Nothing but a simple conditional probability. This is the condition. The previous step is the condition, and then we are moving to the next step. Clear? So we don't leave it to just Markov chain. We actually simulate a lot of scenarios. So we make it Monte Carlo Markov chain. So we just don't let it become one customer's journey on like that. What would have been the multiple scenarios? We create the scenarios to a Monte Carlo simulation on top of that and make it Markov chain Monte Carlo. MCMC is the technique that we use. But you got some idea right here. Clear so far?
Yes,
so far
sir.
clear? Okay.
Sir, where this attribute analysis is
Attribution model. Don't say
attribution model.
Attribution model. Yeah. Why did you tell me?
So where like what role is it playing here?
That's what I told. Role is that where should I attribute my marketing dollar? Say I have got say $1 million budget or promotion. My kitty is $1 million. I know that to make the conversion happens, there are 10 touch points before the conversion. Every touch point costs me, right? I have to create the touch points, create the ads in Facebook, YouTube, whatever, website, Google. I have to create the ads. It costs. How much should I allocate to each of the touch points to make them more effective? Now, to make them effective has a greater implications. By that way, I'm also creating my desired consumer path. If I'm investing on something, I want my most of consumers to come there so that they are, having a great momentum and velocity to go to the next one. So that's the utility. I'm attributing marketing dollar, focus, attention to the paths. Concept is entirely clear to everyone.
Yes.
So last we discussed Markov chain along with we do it in Monte Carlo simulation. So Markov chain Monte Carlo is typically being used. Now, if I am talking about the simulation part, let me ask the question in this way. How do you decide the price of a product? How will you decide the price of a product? That's the fundamental question of any pricing analytics, right? That's the most basic question of any price analytics. You also know that it depends on, say, let's think about the stock market. I think why I'm giving the example because that's the easiest way to understand. The price of a stock is determined by the demand and supply. Everybody knows it, general truism. But how will you decide that thing in the context of a product? So there also use a lot of simulation, of the different scenarios. Say if I make the product price as 5, what will be the sales? 6 sales, 7 sales and profit, 8 sales and profit. We do a lot of simulation across various customer segments, and then we arrive to a decision what is the right pricing for the product. So that is the pricing analytics also simulation is being used. So what all we have done so far, we have started with the customer, store and product segmentation. We discussed that through cluster analysis. After that, we moved to target marketing or the purchase likelihood model. We did the propensity modeling. From there, we moved to the RFM analysis. We did the customer analytics. With that, we moved to a recommendation engine. We discussed the content based filtering, collaborative filtering. From there, we moved the churn analytics. We discussed the different layers along with survival analysis. From survival analysis, we moved to the attribution modeling. We discussed the markup chain Monte Carlo. From there, we moved the pricing analytics piece. So it's a long journey, but try to create a. These are the I've told the create the entire gamut almost. Entire is never possible, but at least majority of those things I should cover. The next thing, a very important thing, I think the most common thing, because the time is almost 10:30 we are going to have. So last thing we are going to discuss for this session is a marketing mix model. Extremely important and widely been used. Companies from where I'm coming, Nielsen, make the 80% revenue from this one, but by selling this model only. It is such a popular model. Every company uses it. So you all know what is marketing mix, right?
Yes, sir, we know that.
So what are those things? Tell me in terms of variables.
Product, place, price, promotion.
Product, price, and competition.
4 P's. You can.
Sure.
That is a controllable factor.
Sure. So not just 4 P's. There are multiple variables within these things. Say promotion. It has got the variables like YouTube ad, Facebook ad, Google ad. There are different types of distribution strategies. There are different types of price strategies, product strategies. So point is that what is the impact of each of those variables on sales? What is the impact of each of these variables on sales? Why those things are important? Why those things are important? Because you know exactly what are the drivers of your sales. Right. So that comes the marketing mix model. I hope it is clear. And of course, with that goes the marketing budget optimization, along with goes hand in hand with marketing mix model, the marketing budget optimization, where again we have got a kind of marketing budget kitty, and we tend to distribute it across the multiple promotions, across the multiple other avenues what drives my sales. So we use typically the optimization techniques, which starts from the very basic linear nonlinear programming to integer programming to genetic algorithm. Lot of techniques are there, but these are the concepts. So these on a high level are the different concepts I discussed. Any question? I know I have not used the slides. Of course, I'm going to use it in the next one. Sometimes the slide gets boring, so and the interaction or engagement doesn't take place. So that's the reason I haven't used. But is it completely clear? Any questions for this session? Ask me now. Any question for this session? Any question for this session?
Clear, sir. Clear.
Do you want me to sum up, or is it summation is also done? You are also written it down. What are the kind of tools? What are the marketing business objective? Why it is being used, and what are the analytics techniques? This is there with you. Perfect. Let's come up. It's 10:26 by my computer clock. Let's come up at say 10 minutes break is sufficient, Professor?
15 minutes.
You can take a 15 minutes break, Tuhin, if that's
okay. So 10:27. So we are coming around say 10:42, 43, something like that. Okay. So we will cover, of course, with slides. We will cover two things. One is the assortment analytics, something very core to retail. We'll do that thing in depth, and we'll also do the different forms of customer analytics, merchandising analytics, buyer analytics, which are core to retail. We'll do these two things. And if our time permits, we'll also move to retail technology. So that's the agenda for the next session.